Why? Firstly, because donors are asking us. They want us to justify the use of our resources. But secondly, and probably more importantly, because it's one of our core values to be good stewards. And thirdly, because we want to run great programs and we really want to make the best use of our resources. In Christian Aid, we understand value for money as achieving the best results we can with the money and resources that we have. And in Christian Aid, we understand the best results as big, deep, lasting and inclusive change. And in the sector, value for money is known as the 4 E's. The first is economy, which means best value inputs, not the cheapest, but for the quality and standard that we want, that we get the best cost, such as the purchase of mosquito nets, the quality that we want at the best cost. Secondly, efficiency, and that relates your inputs to your outputs. So for example, given the number of nets that you've purchased, how many people are now using them? Given the number of people that are trained, how many people are putting that training into action? So it's something about cost per beneficiary. The third one is effectiveness. Are your outputs delivering your outcomes? Are all your activities delivering the change that you want to see? So it's about ensuring that our activities are aligned to our theory of change, that we've checked that our assumptions still hold true, that actually we are funding successful interventions. And finally, fourth is equity. And that is about ensuring that we are reaching the poorest and most marginalised groups in those hard to reach geographic locations, but also those groups which are most marginalised within our target communities. I think what country programmes want is some practical examples about how you can apply the 4 E's. Now, economy is about purchasing at the right quality and price. And it's probably the easiest thing for country programmes to demonstrate. So, on one side, you could be limiting your overheads by sharing an office or reducing your utility costs by having really robust procurement procedures, but also by perhaps undertaking your monitoring visits so that you cluster your partners and reduce your transport costs. Secondly, efficiency, and that's about cost per beneficiary. An example would be where you are trying to increase the uptake of HIV testing. Now you can run a workshop and invite people and pay their transport and feed them, or you could go and visit an antenatal clinic or participate in a church service and raise awareness about HIV and HIV testing opportunities at the same time, and you significantly reduce your costs. You perhaps have achieved the same outcome, but through a different approach, you have a lower cost per beneficiary. The third thing is effectiveness. And effectiveness is all about linking your outputs to your outcomes. So you want to be sure that you're not wasting any money on activities which are not going to be productive. So you want to be sure that you've got a robust theory of change, that your assumptions still hold true, and that the activities which partners are putting forward are actually going to deliver the change that you want to see. So you could be funding partners who have a successful track record, funding approaches which you know to be successful. Fourthly, equity. For example, in Kenya, we are working in the northern part of the country with pastoral groups, which we know are poorly served by government, where few NGOs are active, and we want to be reaching those poorest and most marginalised groups. Of course, it's not possible for country programmes to achieve all of the 4 E's at the same time, and they have to make trade-offs between equity and efficiency, economy and effectiveness. What I mean by that is that you can run a very cheap programme, but it doesn't deliver the change that you want to see. Here's an example. You want to raise HIV awareness. You can give out 1,000 leaflets and it costs you £20. Or you can run a workshop and give advice and have a robust discussion about HIV and its stigma and discrimination, and really engage with those people. Now, the first one is very efficient. You reach a lot of people. It's very low cost per beneficiary. But the second is more likely to bring about the behavioural change that you want. It is more likely to be effective. Another trade-off that we often make is between equity and efficiency. So we know that our mission in Christian Aid is to reach the poorest and most marginalised people. We go to hard to reach locations, we go to insecure locations, but that's our mission. But it costs us more to do it. It costs us more in transport costs and security costs, but it's the right thing to do. The bottom line, in Christian Aid, equity and effectiveness are more important to us than economy and efficiency. And what you need to remember is that there is no value for money if your activities are not effective. So how can we put this into practice? Christian Aid is putting forward a framework that brings together 3 actions. The first, managing for value for money. The second, comparing for value for money. And the third, demonstrating value for money. The first, managing for value for money. If our country programmes have good management practices in place, they are already well placed to deliver value for money. What does this mean? It means that they have sound procurement procedures, they have anti-fraud and corruption measures, they are developing projects in a participatory way with partners, and that they have very solid monitoring and evaluation procedures. These all help us manage for value for money. Secondly, comparing for value for money. This is about making a conscious and systematic judgment about partners, projects and approaches. In terms of partners, you could be channeling more funds to those partners who have a successful track record. In terms of projects, programme officers are making choices in proposal evaluation about which projects are going to deliver the change that we want to see and deliver our strategy. Thirdly, demonstrating value for money. We need not only to be delivering value for money, but being able to be seen to be delivering value for money so that we can evidence and justify our choices to others. That involves demonstrating that we have reflected on options, that we've put in place cost-saving measures, and that we are making continual efforts to enhance our value for money, and that we can communicate that to donors and to the wider organisation. Country programmes have been making value for money judgments all of the time. It's just about making that more conscious, more systematic. What I'd like to say is it's about making a defensible case. When you make your judgment, when you make your trade-off, be clear about why you've done it, why you have decided to work in that distant place, why you've decided to work with that marginalised group. It may cost more, but to make your defensible case why that is the right thing. Fulfil your mission and stand over your judgment, make your defensible case, and you will be able to demonstrate that you have delivered value for money.